I am Brad Keelor, and you are a Director's Cut viewer. Coming up next on our first Director's Cut of 2026, it's our best of Director's Cut 2025. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every single week, I sit down with a GI member who has stories to tell. Yes, some are personal. Yes, some are professional, but double yes, all of them are fun. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, after you watch this episode today, scroll, click, use your brain, use your meta glasses, whatever, over to geoinstitute.org, and there you will find out tons of things about us, including that we are a technical society with about 12,000 members, most of whom are geotechnical engineers and or geologists, and that we are part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. If you like what you see today, and it's called the best of. If you don't like it, I guess send me an email and we'll have a conversation about it. But if you do like it, click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we will let you know every single time we post something to the YouTube channel. Now, by now, you've noticed there is no guest. It is just me on your screen, in your ear. You've figured out that this is our best of 2025 episode. There were 47 episodes of Director's Cut in 2025. People ask me about my favorites all the time. Let me tell you, it's kind of hard to make any list. Every interview is different. They all go in different directions, different follow-up questions. But yes, they're pretty much all memorable. But I must say, there are some guests and some answers that just capture the essence of what Director's Cut is and what it's supposed to be. So every year I choose 10 of the best answers and maybe a little bonus at the end and put them together in this handy package for you, dear viewer. Here is the best of Director's Cut 2025. In Vancouver, at Geo-Congress 2024, we held the inaugural Matt Evans Hot Sauce Challenge, where Matt Evans, GI member Matt Evans, made 8 different varieties of hot sauce that went, he gave them all names, but just generally, they went from hot to extremely hot. When we announced this, I got a text from Alan Rathje, and it said, "Is Russell entered in this? Because if he is, he's gonna win." And those words turned out to be prophetic. We actually had 3 winners. We went 15 rounds, and Russell was one of our 3 winners. He gets free registration to Geotechnical Frontiers this year because of it. Russell, I want to hear the story of how you got to this point, because you were pretty much unfazed during 15 rounds of hot sauce consumption. What's the first spicy food you remember eating?
So, having grown up in upstate New York, buffalo wings came out, and that came out when I was young. And I don't think they started out as mild and hot, medium and hot. They just came out hot. And so I was eating buffalo wings from a very, very young age. But I also had chronic nosebleeds growing up, and as a result, my nose had been cauterized so many times that I think I had lost taste, and so I needed the spice in order to eat things and taste things. And so that just kind of, snowballed to the fact that almost everything that I eat has spice on it.
You've done a lot of traveling around the world, though. You've got to have an amazing list of the spiciest things you've ever had. What's up near the top?
So I'll tell you a story about traveling around the world that was interesting. I was in Wellington, New Zealand, and I went to a kebab place, and New Zealand has great food. And I noticed that at the bottom they had Diablo, and they had it for everything. So you could order their whatever you were going to get for the kebab, then you could get Diablo. So I did. And so first I asked what it was, and they said, "Oh, that's spicy." And I said, "Okay, yes." So I ordered my kebab platter, and I ordered a Diablo. And I'm about halfway through it, and I'm thinking, this is actually pretty hot. I mean, it wasn't to the point that I couldn't eat it. I actually enjoyed it. And I went back up and I let them know after I finished, because you had to bring up your plates, that it was actually relatively hot. And they said, "Did you get the Diablo?" I didn't realize it was a food challenge. So I got my name like one of 3 people that was able to eat and complete the thing. And I didn't even know it was a challenge. So that I wouldn't say was the spiciest. It was spicier than I was expecting. The spiciest is I had a colleague at University of Michigan. Now he's actually dean at Duke University, and his wife is from the island of Mauritius. And they have some sort of paste that they kind of use on the side, and they kind of dip things in it. So it's not very much. And I had gone to their house for dinner, and I really liked the paste. Well, she gave me like a quart jar of it. And it looked like spaghetti sauce, but there were certainly no tomatoes in that. And I actually used it as a spaghetti sauce. And I did eat the whole plate, but it was, that was probably the hottest. And they would eat a fraction of what I did, that in the one sitting. So that jar would be like a lifetime supply. And I ate, I think, half a jar in one sitting.
So as that guy that eats spicy foods now, I'm sure you must have people coming to you with spicy stuff and saying, "Hey, Russell, eat this," just to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
How disappointed are people when you don't even react?
So most of the time it's the novelty things that have the name on it. And I don't really like the hot sauce that has vinegar in it. That's more like a salad dressing that I would use. So usually the ones that have the names on it are maybe hot, but they're not that flavorful or enjoyable. I don't think I've ever. So I was up in Iceland. In Iceland, the farther you are from the equator, the less spicy food is. And so in Iceland, the food is not spicy. So I usually travel with hot sauce, and I did in that case. And my colleague at the earthquake center there was interested in trying it, and I don't know if he was just humoring me, but he said he really enjoyed it. So I sent him a case of hot sauce when I returned, and it may still be sitting in the earthquake center on a shelf somewhere, but he kind of joined a club as a result. And when I went back up there, a subsequent visit, he had some stuff that was pretty hot and flavorful, but it was Pepper X. So they hadn't named the pepper yet, but at that time it was the hottest pepper on earth. And it was just essentially a jar of ground Pepper X. And I ate about a third of the bottle at one sitting, and it was a tough go. So that was pretty tough.
So, we're not going to have the entire interview be about hot sauce here, but we do have to wrap with this one final thing. For all those people who are watching this thinking, there's got to be a commercially available hot sauce that I would enjoy, what would be your top recommendations for people?
I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it right, but it's El Yucatan. And they have 3 main versions and then another version. So the red, green, and brown. The brown is the good one, and then they have a black one, and the black one is even better if you can find it.
There you go. We will, of course, because that's the kind of people we are, put a link to El Yucatan down in the show notes below this so everybody can find it at their local stores or order it by mail if you need to. In the interview, you probably knew when I asked you if you wanted to be on that this was going to come up, John. For anybody who's out there in the world, they may be aware that there's this other guy named Jon Stewart. You might have heard of him. He's on TV sometimes. How often, John, have you been confused with? Again, we're going to refer to him as the other Jon Stewart.
Yeah, right. Well, there are 2 really famous Jon Stewarts. The one that you're talking about, Comedy Central, but there was an NFL running back, Jonathan Stewart.
Oh, that's true. Played for Jacksonville, I believe, in the 90s, and went to UCLA,
Carolina,
right?
But yeah, he was great. So he's probably number 2 on the hits if you Google Jon Stewart. So one of the things I like to joke about in my household, we are big Jon Stewart fans, the other one. And I like to say, I'm my wife's second favorite Jon Stewart, but at least I'm in the number 2 spot, right? So I have a Jon Stewart story that I'm going to relate to your listeners here. So, and it has to do with another name shared between an earth scientist and a celebrity, which is Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, God rest his soul, passed away a few years ago, but very celebrated seismologist. Among many, many accolades, he, with his co-author Kanamori, developed the magnitude scale that we all use, the moment magnitude scale. I mean, so a giant in the field. And Tom Hanks received an honorary lecture called the Joyner Lecture about 20 years ago. And part of that lecture is that you go around and visit universities and deliver your lecture. So we invited Tom. Christine Goulet was part of that sort of welcoming committee here. So Christine and I welcomed Tom, gave a great lecture. It was mid-afternoon. And then when it was over, said, well, Tom, what are your plans? When are you going back home, which is in the Bay Area? And he goes, oh, my flight's at 8 or 9 or something like that. And it's like, great. Would you like to have dinner? And, Tom, if you knew Tom, he loves a good bottle of wine, some nice pasta and stuff. So he was excited to go for dinner. And I thought, well, I need to get a good place because this is Tom Hanks visiting. So I picked up the call and I picked up the phone rather and made a call to a good restaurant in Westwood. And I said, okay, I need a table tonight for Tom Hanks and Jon Stewart. Do you think you can help me out with that? And I went, oh, yes, absolutely, sir. We can take care of you. And so Christine and Tom and I showed up and said, this is Jon Stewart here for our table. They were polite, but they were a little disappointed at the versions of Jon Stewart and Tom Hanks that actually showed up. And, Tom and I laughed about that for years. It was so fun. He was a great guy. So that's my Jon Stewart story.
That is fantastic. And if, when I do the research for these shows, there are people who share names with prominent individuals. So I'll just throw geotech at the end. Sometimes that does the job because UCLA doesn't even help that much with you because of the running back. So it's challenging. And if anybody wants to go back in the archives of Director's Cut and check out another great story of somebody with another name, go back and watch the Dan Brown episode where he talks about the hate mail he got after the Da Vinci Code came out. Yeah. And it's pretty good. But John, thank you so much for that story. And I'm glad you and Tom got to have maybe a little special treatment because of that. That's fantastic.
We had a fantastic table.
But we know the people tune in to Director's Cut for the very serious questions that we ask throughout the course of the interview. Your first one, like this, Tierno, is this. Do you remember your very first favorite song as a kid?
Yes, I do. When you asked me this question, I was like, wow, what was my favorite song? And this one came to mind instantly. I had like a little bit of a what's the term? Nostalgia here. So one of my first favorite song is, as a kid, was Lady by Kenny Rogers, believe it or not. So this was very surprising to my mom's friends. So I barely understood English at the time, and I was around, let's say, 5 or 6. And I remember that, we were in a car ride, and I was like, hey, can you play Kenny Rogers' Lady? And I remember my mom's friend looking at it like weird. And this is, by the way, CD times. This is not Spotify, not what is it called? Apple Music. So then she looked at my mom and was just like, what kind of old soul did you bring into this world? But yeah, I just love the melody and I love the voice. It was just great.
Did you like any other Kenny Rogers songs at that time, or was it just that one?
That was the one. I was very obsessive about it. It kept playing in a loop.
When you're a little kid, you could listen to something 400 times in a row and you don't care, right? That's how it goes. Oh, I like that a lot.
That's right.
Oh, and shout out Kenny. That's
I know,
excellent.
Right?
We have a couple of super, super important questions now. For one, I selfishly want to know the answer to this one because I mentioned we're going to be out in Long Beach in November for the Geo Extreme Conference. and I'm always looking to have an awesome food experience wherever I go. And Director's Cut is at its heart a show about food, sports, and music, right? So we got to hit the food aspect of this. And I guess, Noe, we haven't started with you in a little while, so you get to be number one on this one. Best cheap food in Long Beach.
Okay, well, I have two answers, and one of them's a little bit out the way, but I will stand on this hill. The first one, it's very casual, right? It's, your typical, fast food option that you have here. It would be In-N-Out. Yeah, you could get that just about anywhere, but as a college student, it's cheap, it's fast, it's good food. That's one of them. However, this next option, it's a little bit out the ways. I think the closest one to Long Beach would be in the Torrance area. Mm-hmm. It's still a good, very quick drive. It's this place called Koko Ichibanyo. It's a Japanese curry house. I tell everybody this, that they have not heard of it or they have not tasted it. Go taste it. It is amazing. I will die on this hill. Best restaurant I've ever been to. And it's I think for the quality of food they give you, it's good. It's not like crazy expensive. It's affordable and it's amazing food. I might go there today, actually.
That is amazing. So, and of course, before, I don't want to forget to say this to the viewers. We're going to put all the links to these restaurants down in the show notes below where you're watching this. So the next time you are out west, you can go check them out. Brian, you get to go second on this one.
Oh, man. Also, I have two as well. Definitely the In-N-Out. You cannot go wrong with the In-N-Out here. And the second one is my personal favorite. I love ramen. It's a place called Rakan Ramen. Oh man, they have the best ramen there, and the soup base is actually vegetarian friendly. So if you got vegetarian, vegan friends, that's the place to go. They are very accommodating for them. But even with the meat or the vegetarian, everything is amazing there between the appetizers and the ramen itself.
So for people whose idea of ramen is Nissin or Top Ramen or whatever, what do you recommend when somebody goes into a real ramen restaurant? Like, what's a good starter for somebody?
Oh, man. You got to go with either tonkatsu or tantan men. Those two are pretty much the standard for ramen, but for Rakan Ramen, I recommend getting the spicy garnet ramen. That one is really good. Really, the broth is really clear, and then you got this delicious chili oil with it. It's just a flavor bomb.
I can tell everybody's passionate about this. Manny, what about you? Give us your recommendations.
Oh man, all right. Cheap places?
Well, I mean within reason, but it's more important that it's good.
All right, well, I have to mention again, In-N-Out, that's kind of like a big thing. That's like a good place to go to in California. Because In-N-Out, it's like really, it's good food. No, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, it depends on what you get, but yeah, no, it's like the quality is good. I like it. I love In-N-Out. Other foods I eat around here. I mean, as a college student, I kind of try to save money as I can, and that means like download like many apps for like different fast foods. But I have been to like some Long Beach restaurants that like I think is like really good. One of them is the MVP's Patio and Grill. It's not too far from this campus. That one's pretty good. I like that one. That one's below $20. So like if you not want to spend more than $20, you're fine. It's below $20. Like I say, it really depends what you get. But I kind of like went out. I got like a really big burger, avocado, bacon. It was like double meat, and the fries. They let you decide whether to do like regular seasoning, like salt and pepper, or they could do the Cajun seasoning. And I went for the Cajun seasoning, and I gotta say it was a good meal.
You cannot ever go wrong with the Cajun seasoning, I think, is an important life lesson for everybody. This leads us to Min. And sorry you're going last again, but I think you're going to give us something good, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll give two places. So first one, I'm gonna do mian. So mian means noodles in Chinese. So I'm half Chinese. So like when I came here, I was trying to find good Chinese food that's very authentic. And mian, it doesn't get more authentic than mian. Mian has great like mala flavored like noodle dishes. They also have very like regional like Chinese fried rice. It's called Chengdu chao fan. So Chengdu is like one of like the regions in China. I've been there before, and their zoo has a lot of like pandas. They're really cute. But the fried rice there is amazing. And like their specialty is noodles. So when you do go there, Mian, definitely get the noodles. And my second place that I want to show, it's actually going to be Pepper Lunch. So Pepper Lunch is right beside Mian. So it's in Cerritos. So it's a little out of the way. So like I would say 20-minute drive up from Long Beach. So Pepper Lunch originated in Japan. And it's basically a hot stone, and they have rice and sliced beef that are raw, and then like they just present it to you with the hot stone, and the beef will cook as you mix it up. So you pour like some type of sauce that they give on it. Pepper Lunch is very popular in Asia. It originated in Japan, but there's like stores in Myanmar, there's stores in Thailand, there's stores in Singapore, there's stores in Australia. So I had the privilege to eat Pepper Lunch at like all those different places and the United States. And
that is
it's
excellent.
Amazing.
Guys, what I loved about this question is to watch your reactions as everybody made their, when you watch the NBA dunk contest and all the other players are like, that was the closest thing I've seen to that in a long time. So I like that. And thanks for, that was great. And everybody gave different recommendations. That's what's fantastic about this.
There's also, I almost forgot to mention another place too. So I'm a burger kind of guy. Like I love to eat burgers. There's this place. It's called Grill 'Em All, and they actually did like a cameo in a show called Regular Show, where it was like a truck.
We haven't had a regular show reference on Director's Cut in a long time.
Yes, and in the show they had a truck, and they're like doing this like. It was a ultimatum burger. Yeah. It was like a burger cooked inside of a patty, cooked inside a burger. It was like it's like a crazy combination. It was like every 100 years. But yeah, like I found out like when I went with some college students to go eat, they took me to this restaurant and they told me like, oh yeah, they had like a food truck. They did a cameo on a regular show. They even had like a right there, like inside the restaurant, like a little photo frame of like just like of the show and like the truck in it. And Grill 'Em All, man, I gotta say their burger is amazing. And they do have unfortunately they don't have the ultimatum burger, but they do have some crazy combinations burgers. And I'm just looking at them like, what the hell? And I'm like, it is pricey, but oh my God, is it worth it? You gotta try them out. And the location that's
Never seen them.
that's here in Grill 'Em All, it's actually not too far from the campus. And what's great about the location is that like you're literally like by like the shore, like you're like real close to the water. Like being at the restaurant, your feet's gonna be touching sand. Like you're just on the sand. Like the restaurant's literally just like on the sandy beach, and it's like next to it. You can also like canoe as well. It's like a great location. What I thought was funny is like their location, like street name. It's called it's like about the Bayshore Avenue, but I can't remember. It was like a funny, inappropriate kind of name to it, like of the street.
We're gonna find that, and we're gonna put it down in the show notes.
I think it was called like Horny Street. Horny Street. I think that's the name.
I think to close this, what we need for you guys, anybody who's a regular show fan here in the group, can we get a Mordecai and Rigby whoa for everybody, please?
Whoa!
This is the greatest episode ever. As a proud card-carrying member of Generation Z, we all know, all us older folks know that the language is different. And every person has said this since the beginning of time. But we're going to break it down here a little bit for what we're dealing with currently here. Adara, what Gen Z slang have you taught your parents?
There's a few. The one I say most is probably fire, which means like, I guess you could say if something's really good, you're like, oh man, or this burger is so fire. And my mom's like, what? And I'm like, it's just like really good. You know what I mean? It's a 10 out of 10. Or tea, like with my friends, we'll be like, oh, let me hear the tea. You want to hear the gossip? Something really good that you know, you're waiting to hear. Another one would be slay. Like if something's just, you're in awe, you're like, oh, this is great. Like, oh, slay. Like that's just, you know what I mean? Like, and everyone's always like, what? And the other one I would say is probably bet. I say a lot. So it's kind of like, I guess, word. Like, you know, oh, okay, word. So you just say, oh, okay, bet. And it's, everyone's like, what are you betting? I'm like, no, it's just like, okay, gotcha.
So you really spoke to the heart of this Gen Xer there with the word, because I probably use that one a little too much. Yeah. Now, we can spin this the other way. Is there any slang that your parents use that you still use, even though maybe you look at it and you're like, oh, that's from 35 years ago?
Honestly, it's funny because that you just said word. My dad will say word, and I'm like, and I try to say it the other way, like, well, let's try bet, but I do still say word because of him. That's probably the most common word that they say that I
but
also.
I do think there are some that are timeless though, right? Like it's kind of fascinating to me because when I was a kid, somebody who was 65 years old would not have even used the word cool, for example. And now you have people who are well into the senior citizenry who are using that slang that they picked up in the 60s and 70s. And it actually kind of still means the same thing. Like it's really entered like the common vernacular, right? Now, I guess the other follow-up question here is, for all of that wonderful Gen Z slang that's out there, is there anything that you just will absolutely not say because it sounds too ridiculous?
Honestly, there is one. I hate when people say sus. It's for like, if you're suspicious about something, they'll be like, that's so sus. I can't get around that one. I think I said it once and I was like, did I really just say that? And I was like, that one I'm just not going to be using.
It doesn't really roll. I don't know. There are some things that just sound awkward when you say them, and I'm going to put that in there. So, of course, you know, we always have show notes for every episode. We're going to get a nice Gen Z glossary and link to it in the show notes below the window where you are watching this now, viewers. That was great. We're going to get back to the landslides in just a few minutes here, but we have to ask the fun questions when we're on Director's Cut too. And so, Myrna, we start you with this. What's the first thing you do when you get in your car?
Okay, this is an interesting question. So the first thing I do when I get in my car is actually to count. You might find this funny, but I have a small checklist of 5 items, because when I first started driving, I would always forget something. So now it's the seatbelt, lights, mirrors, GPS, and my very own music playlist. And as a matter of fact, this checklist has changed over time. So when I first started driving, it was more about, you know, brakes, hand brakes, gas. But hopefully with time, those became natural, thank God. So the checklist got updated over and over time. But I thought this was a very smart idea. So I decided I will always have a checklist. And yeah, here I am 7 years later, still having a checklist.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because so my checklist is when I'm wearing a suit. Because I always count everything, because there was one time when I was maybe like 25 and I left the house without a belt. And I know nobody noticed and nobody paid attention the entire day, but it bothered me.
And so I was like, your wedding day.
Yeah. So I was like, from now on, I'm going to count all the different pieces, and that way when I get to 7 or whatever, I know I have everything and I can leave. So I love the countdown idea or the checklist idea. Vaughn, I mean, I'm getting old enough where I make references to programming languages from the 1980s, and people look at me like I'm insane. I wanted to ask you, what's the first programming language you worked in?
I'm ready for you here. Can you read that?
That is fantastic.
Algol 68 was the first language, and programming's been a major part of my career. So I've worked through several languages. Algol 68 was the one we learned as undergraduates when I was at Manchester. It was a tremendous language. I mean, extremely powerful, structured language that never caught on. There was an Algol 60. The 68, by the way, refers to 1968. But the language has influenced many later languages that we are much more familiar with, like modern Fortran, even C, the Pascal. Algol 68 was an excellent language, but the engineers didn't want to give up Fortran. In those days, old Fortran was like tap out 6 spaces and you started typing in column 7. Some of your older viewers will remember that, but I started off, I never used Algol 68 in anger, if you like, for research. It was always Fortran, old Fortran, and now what I would call modern Fortran, which has adopted many of the powerful features that Algol forged in the last century.
I mean, when you look back at this, how surprised are you at how much some of these languages could do? Because when you think about computing resources, I guess that's the big limitation on a lot of this, right? We're talking about numerical modeling with somebody last week, and I thought about a simulation that I wrote in 8th grade that was in QBasic about a lake on the U.S.-Canada border and how many fish you would catch on each side in any probabilistic situation. I can't believe we were able to pull that off in QBasic. I mean, what are some of the projects you remember doing in these older languages that you look back on and that you're just shocked today that you were able to do it?
Well, I don't know if I do have that feeling very often, because most of numerical modeling in engineering very often just involves essentially adding numbers very quickly.
Right.
And nothing's better than Fortran for doing that. I realize that my colleagues in computer science and other disciplines want to interface with the operating system and do a lot more fancy stuff with the graphics and transferring files around. But Fortran really just did everything that I wanted to do, which was basically add numbers together very quickly. Of course, a little bit more to it than that, but that's really what we were doing in the early developments of finite elements and so on. So, but I dabbled with Algol, 2 types of Algol, and Fortran, and nowadays Python's a big deal, but it's really not a competitor for large engineering calculations, and most of the famous proprietary codes are written in Fortran.
That is amazing. If it works, you don't really need to make that change, I guess. We talked about it at the top. I don't know that we did actually. Did we mention you're from Colombia? If we didn't, people are finding that out now. And they're going to find out, well, I guess we did, because we said in the teaser that you were going to teach us some Colombian Spanish, and that's where this is about to happen. For those who don't know much about the Spanish language, this should not be shocking either way, but it's not the same in every country that speaks Spanish. There are some very significant variations in the dialects that each country speaks. Claudia, what are the most fun Spanish words that are unique to Colombian Spanish?
Oh my God. There are some great ones that I can include. I can be here for the whole day doing that. But few words that I'm very sure you're going to recognize the guy or the gal is from Colombia. And one of them, which is very, very common, is just to say that something is cool. We said, okay, this is chévere. So chévere, that's how it sounds, chévere, right? So the CH, we use it a lot, and the chévere is, for everything we said chévere, right? Probably younger generation will say we use different words by now, but chévere has been forever. Okay, so that's one. Another thing is for your buddy or your friend, we don't say, hello friend, we said hola parcero or parce. And parcero, everybody knows that you are from Colombia because you call your friend parcero. So parcero are mostly from the Paisa region, like, Medellin, kind of Manizales stuff. So parcero is the word parce. If somebody calls you parce, is your friend, right? So don't worry about it. Another thing, just to say that something is good, nice, or chévere, right? Good, nice, as bacano. Bacano was a very common word, probably since the hippie times, and bacano is still around for a long time. Another thing that, do you know the rumba and the salsa? Yeah. So we say rumba. Okay, so we don't go to party, we go to rumbear.
Oh,
rumbear. So
I like that.
We go to the rumba, we go to rumbear, and it's a whole verb that we use. I don't know if it exists in the Academy of Spanish Language, but we go to rumbear all the time, right? And when somebody gets really, really drunk, he's hincho. Okay, so you're gonna use hincho. There is no word that anybody's gonna be. Colombian people will say hincho all the time. Okay.
Oh, this is a lot. I like that, though. Now let's flip it around the other way. Are there any words that once you left Colombia that you heard from other dialects of Spanish that you really liked that you started to use?
Oh my goodness, that's a difficult one. Well, we got a lot of people in here from Mexico, right? So they have fun words that that they can use, but not one that I can use. Let's see, Mexican words. Güey, they use güey for friend, hi güey, and I think this one is, but I don't use it much because I use parcero. And there are some things that you can tell, in Mexico, they're bad words, what in Colombia they're not, or in Colombia they're bad words, when in Mexico they're not, right? So you can say some words in here, like in Mexico, for something that they mean you're lazy. In Colombia, this is a very bad word, okay? So you don't want to use that one. And something that we think it is just, he's silly. For Mexicans, a very bad word, so we just not even pronounce it. One of the things that you're gonna like it is the tráigame una cerveza, por favor, that you said, the cerveza. Well, we said tráigame una pola, por favor. P-O-L-A, so pola. So that's how we call beer in Colombia. So just make sure. And another thing that is a funny one is something that means pay attention to me. Okay, so it's when you said pay attention to me, to your friend, you said páreme bolas. And páreme bolas means stop the balls. That's what it means. Don't tell me why we said páreme bolas, but this is pay attention to me, right? Or when you see, do you know the Argentinian fried pastry full of sugar that sell in Costco? It's called churro.
Oh, yeah.
Churro, okay, churro. Well, when we see a handsome or a very attractive guy, we said, oh, he's so churro. So the churro is our world, And another thing, which is probably thought in some places, it may have a different meaning, but when we see a person that has a very bad attitude, we say he's a carechimba. So that's a very bad one in some other places, but that's what we call it when we see a person with a bad attitude, and it's not a bad thing.
This is amazing. Think of all the education you just got, viewers, from that. So now when you head to Colombia or you speak to your Colombian, wait, what was the word for friend again? What one did you use?
Parcero.
when you talk to your Colombian parcero, you can drop some of this on them and they're going to think you're so well educated. That was amazing. Thank you for all of that. That's amazing. So I said we were going to talk about one specific one, and it's Jim Mitchell. We have to talk about Jim Mitchell. We couldn't go through this whole interview without doing it. You wrote a book with him. This is the one we teased at the beginning of the interview. For you, you can walk us through the whole process of doing this, right? But what was the most memorable part for you of writing a book with Jim?
So if you know Jim personally, you know who he is, how great person, how he's caring to the others, he's fair to everyone, that kind of a feeling. Just talking to him is always a good thing to make me feel that, oh, I want to be like him. So working on book, of course, I suffered a lot to read many things. When you write a new edition, it has to be 30% more than what you have. Yep. So you got to put new stuff. And that is sort of a lot of effort, but at the same time, talking with him once every week or something like that, that makes you feel that, oh, wow, this is a great moment I'm having in my life, talking to somebody who I admire, and then doing something together. So it's, and obviously he's innovative. You can see his work, and if you look at his older edition that I was not involved, and then when you read it, and then when you think about what's happening right now, wow, he was pioneer. He think about that when he was at the age of associate professor and assistant professor, and then sort of comes back, but then we're keep on innovating to go to the next level. But the fundamentals that he thought was so interesting, and then just listening to him, how he was thinking like that, makes me feel that, oh, wow, that's good. And that is the moment that I feel importance of working with him is not just learning about his academic experience, but also learning from, as a person, how it will be good to be like him.
So I think, it's always challenging to work with anybody on a project, right? Because you're bringing together two different styles, people think differently. But a book is almost like taking that to another level because it's going to be out there for a long time. People are going to look at that for a long time. What do you feel like were the biggest differences between you and Jim as you worked on this, and how did you guys work through it?
I think it's the way we sort of listened to each other, and then we never had any conflicts. It just one thing adding, and then you add something that you're good at. So the point is that we've always found what we are good at, and then trying to bring it together. And you may know that we're having a new edition coming up soon. It's going to come out in summer, and actually we added a new co-author, Catherine O'Sullivan for Imperial College, and Catherine was exactly the same. She brought something new, and then we said, wow, let's add those together to make it happen. So I think the point is that we never had a conflict. We sort of assumed we will all contribute in the right way, and that's how it went.
That is amazing, and good to get a little pitch in for the book there at the end, too. We have to close. It's come up a couple of times in the interview here with a question about numerical modeling. Every year, when we go through the Geo-Congress paper reviews, we get dozens of people who will say, I'll do reviews in anything except computational geotechnics and numerical modeling. I can't touch those. That is the biggest one that people tell us they don't want to do. Juan, how do you keep people from being intimidated when you talk about numerical modeling?
Yeah, I don't talk about it. No. So one of the things that you do when talking about numerical modeling, and I may have to separate that because there is the numerical model, the math component, and there is the constitutive model, which is the soil behavior. And so one of the things I tell them is that they're already doing it, whether they like it or not. They're already doing it. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet and you're doing some computations, that is numerical modeling. I mean, so it's just a matter of degree. And the other thing I tell them is that I ask them, have you cooked popcorn in the microwave? And they say, of course, I have. Yeah. Do you know how it works? Do you know how the microwave works? And some of them do, but most of them don't. And I say, you see, so you're able to do that. You're able to make a tool useful, even though you don't know all the details that go into that. So you may not be a developer of affine elements or a material point method. You may not be having the math to support all that, but you can make it useful to you. So numerical modeling is like that. It's a tool. And you can make use of it, and that will enhance your life much more than saying, look, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use a microwave because I don't know how it works. I mean, that would be silly, right? I mean, and the other thing I tell them is, you are doing numerical modeling in all the areas, and you don't even know it. When you're doing a slope stability analysis, well, that's numerical modeling. The kind of model that you're using is a rigid, perfectly plastic material. Only the strength is important. You don't care about the deformation. And in other cases, you may need the deformation. You look at settlements. You don't care about the strength. So that's another kind. And now, if you want both, and the problem is complex, and then you need a more sophisticated model. And then what I try to do is I tend to be more on the constitutive modeling side. And so some people, they call me the soil whisperer, but I talk to soils. And no, but the point that I try to make is that, look, try to understand how people work. I mean, has it happened to you that you may have an event, you have an accident, and have you seen how some people just after the accident they fall apart, and some other people just pick themselves up and they solve the problem, and only afterwards is the adrenaline goes down, and they relax, and they may fall apart, but very differently. And I say, well, that's the response of a dilated soil versus a contractive soil. So soil and people are not that different. So if you understand people, you understand soil. And so I use those connections, and that's how I try to explain some of the concepts in soil mechanics. By making it more human, you make it more attuned to your own feelings, and that's why I say the soil feels, the soil behaves, so in the same way that people do, and that's how I try to make it more, I would say, accessible.
Those are some gems. I love the microwave example. I think that can be applied to so many things. That's fantastic. And yes, I mean, I guess I could explain how a microwave works, but I probably couldn't the first time I used it. So that is a great example. I love that. And I love the people soil analogy. And that's it. Well, almost it. You can check that out in a minute. You'll find links to all the full episodes these clips came from in the show notes, and you really should go back and check out the other episodes from season 6. Like I always say, you never know who you'll meet or what you'll find out. If you liked what you saw today, and you probably did because you're here at the end, again, click like, subscribe, and get notifications. And yes, I promise, because it's automated, so there's no way for me to be wrong, we will notify you every time we post something to the channel. Of course, we're going to be back starting next week with brand new episodes, full interviews of Director's Cut. Legends, students, practitioners, academics. It's always a great section of GI membership. We will see you in just 7 days with a brand new episode of Director's Cut. So Then tell me, why did you organize the Brittany trip to begin with? Because this was on the way back from Geo-Congress in Phoenix, right?
Yeah. So we had a bunch of the grad students at UC Davis, so the GGSS group, had been picked to give presentations that year. And so we were trying to figure out the best way to pay for it. If it was flights or driving. And so
always driving.
It is always driving, but it was a long drive. But we decided there was like enough money to drive there. So we rented like 2 giant vans for like our little basketball teams. And we're trying to figure it out, how much we should drive, we should take breaks. And I forget who it was. Maybe it was like Trevor, Carrie, or Diane. One of us was like, oh, like Vegas is kind of on the way. Like we could stop in Vegas. And I was like, well, Brittany has a residency in Vegas. So I've always wanted to see Brittany because I was like, I finally have some money. Like we could really make it work. So we checked to see what dates were available and we could get cheap tickets. And we're like, oh, well, like if we just drive through straight shot, like that won't work. There's no show that night. And then we're like, but what if we could convince people we needed to go to the Hoover Dam?
ASCE landmark.
Right? And so I think we talked to Ross Boulanger and he's like, oh yeah, like I know someone, like we'll get you set up with a tour. Like it can be special. It's not the normal one. Like I'll make a call. So he like makes the call and we're like, oh, perfect. Well, that means we have to stay the night here and go to the Hoover Dam. It's very educational. And then like we'll stay the night and then we'll drive a little bit and then we'll go back to Davis. And so like that was the plan. We had told everyone this is the plan. People are deciding if they want to spend their own money to fly or should be in this lovely Valentine's van weekend to Geo-Congress and back.
Oh, that's right. It was Valentine's Day.
We called each other our Valentines, so it was pretty great.
Oh, I like that.
Very cute. And so everything has been set up, and then we weren't sure if it was just going to be like a group of us that knew we wanted to go. And I was like, well, we should invite everyone to Brittany. And I was just tried to be as like professional as I could, sending out to our entire like 20 students or something to be like, we're buying tickets to go see Britney Spears as a bonding activity. Please let me know if you would like to join. And we did get a couple surprises that I didn't think would be a Britney fan. And then the rest of the...
Ross. Ross flew home.
Oh, no, they weren't taking the vans. They had flown business class, I assume, at least, back and forth. The vans were just for the grad students.
So did you actually get cheap tickets or cheapish? Like, I have no idea. I don't understand, like, the whole residency thing is out of my wheelhouse. Like, I just assumed it was like $400 the way it was if they were in a stadium tour or whatever.
They paid us to do research in grad school, but not enough to spend $400 on tickets. So they must have been reasonably priced because I want to say there was probably like 7 or 8 of us who went to the show, and then another group of people just decided to have like their own night out in Vegas, and we had stayed probably like at a town that was like 45 minutes away or anything, and we're like,
oh wow.
And we were leaving pretty early to start the drive back to California, and we're like, well, like everyone better make it back. And I think probably the most shocking thing was when we were like leaving bright and early in the morning, everyone loaded into the van and we hadn't lost anybody.